If you think you know basketball, think again. Caitlin Clark isn't just breaking records, she's rewriting the rules of the game. From Iowa's playgrounds to WNBA arenas, this is the story of the woman who turned a second-grade dream into a global phenomenon.
If you were an opposing coach game planning to stop Caitlin Clark, what would you do?
Pray.
When you're the coach trying to scheme against Caitlin Clark, what's the first move you even make? You can trap her 30 feet from the basket, you can shove her off each route, trail her over every pick, send extra bodies on every attack. You can warn your squad, she's not beating us tonight, absolutely not. And then she strolls past midcourt, fires from the emblem, and your entire defensive blueprint dissolves instantly in the air, before the ball even splashes through the rim.
Wow! You bet! From beyond the logo! And a little point afterwards. She knows how to spark the crowd.
Analysts label her Kobe Bryant with a ponytail, while others lean toward a female Steph Curry or pure box office. In Iowa, she's far more than a catchy title. She's an engine. She's a touring phenomenon. She's the force behind sold out gyms and ticket costs climbing to NBA territory simply for a glimpse of what she'll unleash next. Yet before the packed venues, before Clarkonomics, before milestones tied to legends like Steph Curry and Pistol Pete, there was only a young girl in Des Moines, Iowa, tearing up whenever she lost and refusing, absolutely refusing to remain unchanged.
The moment, I love when the lights shine the brightest. You know, I always grew up watching the game. I had cousins that played, so, you know, just a super, super competitive family, and I love being around sports.
Caitlin Clark never stumbled upon competition. She came into the world wired for it. She was raised in a fiercely driven household, older brothers, athletic cousins, and weekends revolving around sports shaped her early. If a ball appeared, a score followed, and if a score existed, Caitlin expected to win. Her parents recall it vividly. Youth soccer, youth basketball, tiny jerseys, tiny rims, and this little kid launching jumpers from the free throw line on a 6 or 7-foot hoop. Like it was second nature. In soccer, she simply outran everyone to finish. In basketball, she already carried that instinct to rise, to shoot, to be the one.
You know, I grew up watching the game. I had an older brother that played basketball, so I always tagged around with a lot of boys. And I think, you know, that kind of helped me like develop my offensive skill set at a younger age, a little faster than most people would. And then when I made that transition from boys basketball to girls basketball, I was, you know, already kind of a step ahead. And, you know, I always had the will to want to be better, you know, and I played up usually throughout AAU.
But competing with the boys was never simple. She ran with her older brother and his buddies for as long as they allowed her to hang around. Through elementary school, then into middle school. Far longer than most girls lasted, they were taller, tougher, quicker, and they refused to hand her anything. She dropped plenty of games. And every time she did, she cried, not out of weakness, but because she couldn't process the idea of falling short or accepting anything other than winning.
Played with the boys, honestly, I think until about 6th grade, which is probably a lot longer than most girls. And my older brother was always just bigger, stronger, faster. So whenever I wanted to play with him and his friends, like I just got picked on or you know, I never won really anything. I really struggled with understanding losing, and my parents did not really appreciate that at all. Whenever I would lose, when I was in either softball, basketball, whatever it was, I would just cry. That was my immediate reaction because I couldn't comprehend why wasn't I winning. And my mom always said, like, if you want to play with them, you got to find a way to hold your own.
Her mom's message was blunt and unwavering. If you want to run with them, you've got to learn how to stand on your own. That's it. No kindness, no shortcuts. That's where the sharpness formed, the competitive blaze that later looked like logo bombs and ruthless stepbacks began with a second grader who refused to be the weak spot in the driveway. By 6th grade, everything got serious. Caitlin joined the AAU scene with All Iowa Attack, a program famous for molding killers, including future NBA champion Harrison Barnes. Now, it wasn't just Des Moines talent, it was elite players from everywhere. college letters arrived before she even reached 7th grade. Coaches kept hearing the same things. She reads the floor uniquely. She's fearless. She always controls the ball. She dictates the whole game in high school. It became clear this wasn't just another standout kid.
But then I eventually went to like the AAU circuit around 6th grade, I want to say. And then probably by like 8th grade, I knew like, okay, like this can probably like be my future. Like I can go to college. Like I want to be a pro.
At Dowling Catholic in Des Moines, Clark poured in over 27 points per game for her career and more than 33 a night as a senior. She turned ordinary gyms into full-blown showcases. Teachers had to stop games in class because she got too fired up. Opposing coaches arrived, watched a few trips down the floor, and muttered to each other, "Who on earth is that? Oh, that's the top player in the nation." Alongside the scoring, she made multiple Team USA youth rosters and collected gold medals. But the path wasn't spotless. One year, as a rising junior, she arrived at USA basketball tryouts and didn't survive the final cut. She'd made the team the previous year. She had a gold medal, and now she was out. She still calls it one of the lowest points of her basketball journey.
But I remember when you were a rising junior, they didn't put you on the team.
Yeah.
And that seemed to fire you up, just like it did Jordan when he didn't make the varsity team.
I went to try out the next year. And honestly, I hurt my pinky during training camp, but like I kept playing, like I was fine. But also I just played really bad. I didn't deserve to be on the team. So I think honestly, like that's one of the lowest points of my basketball career is like you're on the team the previous year, you win a gold medal, and then you go back to try out with all your teammates from the prior year. But I think it really allowed me to like find another fire. And I think it just pushed me to work even harder and get better and, want to prove people wrong.
But instead of pouting, she used the moment like lighter fluid. You can already spot the theme. Get dropped, get sharper, get stronger. When college recruiting finally hit full speed, Caitlin Clark could have chosen nearly any program she wanted. Her final trio, Iowa State, and Notre Dame, national names, elite coaches, massive stages. Yet despite the noise, her logic remained surprisingly grounded. She wanted to stay near her family. She wanted people she trusted, and she wanted a coach who truly believed in her. Iowa had Lisa Bluter, the Big Ten's all-time winningest leader, and Jan Jensen, who traveled across the globe to watch her with USA basketball firsthand. That meant something. It signaled dedication deeper than a simple phone call and a brochure.
Took quite a few visits, and eventually like my top 3 were Iowa State, and Notre Dame. Mostly because I love the schools, but at the same time, like I knew I wanted to be close to my family. But obviously, Coach Bluter, she's one of the best coaches of all time, the winningest coach in Big Ten history. On my visits here, I always love the girls, I love the town, I love the coaches. So it kind of just seemed like everything kind of fell into place, and like this is where I should be. And now that I'm here, I know I definitely made the right decision, and I've loved every second.
It wasn't some dramatic, movie-style signing day twist. It simply felt right. So, the most anticipated recruit in the nation chose to remain home. And from her first moment in Iowa City, there was no slow transition, no freshman adjustment phase. She stepped onto campus, and the ball immediately belonged to her starting point guard. Franchise centerpiece from the very beginning.
National championship, that was my goal no matter where I went. So I think that and just taking a program to where they've never been before would be really cool and awesome, especially doing it in your home state.
The collision was unavoidable. On one side stood Lisa Bluter, a coach who built champions through structure, discipline, and a defined system. On the other, Caitlin Clark, a controlled whirlwind whose most dazzling plays often came from 28 feet out with 2 defenders in her face. Those around the program will tell you freshman year had its clashes. Not toxic, just fiery competition. A legendary coach shaping a generational guard, and a generational guard insisting on being herself. But once the ball was in the air, nothing could restrain her. As a freshman, Caitlin didn't just post impressive stats. She electrified the Big Ten, led the nation in scoring, earned Big Ten Freshman of the Year, and became the first freshman to win the Dawn Staley Award for Best Guard nationally. First year, Best Guard in America. The game moved slowly for her, while everyone else chased her pace.
Clark from the logo!
gets it out of that left hand, and it's money.
RT pouring. You bet. Trying to redirect a pass. Clark. Oh my!
Clark, can she answer? Of course.
You better be careful. There might be another one coming right here.
Bouchard has good size.
Clark steps into a deep three.
A long three by Clark.
Her sophomore season was meant to be the next evolution. Fans returned to arenas after COVID restrictions. Across the country, people tuned in just to watch her. Iowa games became must-see events. She kept piling up points, deep threes, dazzling assists, stat lines that looked pulled from a video game. She added more accolades. Dawn Staley Award again, Big Ten Player of the Year. But March proved cruel. In 2022, Iowa fell at home to a 10 seed in the second round. Carver Hawkeye sold out. Dreams of a long tournament run vanished in 40 minutes. For most athletes, heartbreak would have lingered. For Caitlin Clark, it ignited fuel. Heading into her junior year, the entire program was aligned on one mission: reach the Final Four. She said, "It takes luck, a favorable draw, relentless effort, but we'll do everything possible." And then she exceeded expectations. Night after night, the game slowed further for her. No panic, no rush. Need a basket? She delivered. Need a momentum-changing pass? She anticipated it a beat before the defense. Iowa sold out home games, road arenas packed just to watch. She became what one writer dubbed box office. Fans came to see her, not the Hawkeyes. March Madness arrived, and she turned the tournament into her personal streaming show.
Here comes Clark. How will she go for history? There it is! The all-time leading scorer in women's college basketball.
This for college basketball history. She does it with a foul shot. Caitlin Clark becomes the all-time leading scorer in major college basketball history. Passing Pistol Pete Maravich.
Georgia pushed them to the brink. Fans in Iowa flashed back to heartbreaks past. They survived. They handled Colorado. Then came Louisville. That matchup wasn't just a victory, it was a proclamation. Step backs, logo threes, no-look lobs. She poured in a 41-point triple-double in an Elite Eight game, an unprecedented feat in NCAA history, men's or women's. Stat lines like that sound unreal until you witness them. From there, Iowa advanced to the Final Four and faced a juggernaut, undefeated, defending champion South Carolina with a 46-game winning streak. Everyone expected the Gamecocks to dominate, run a classic 12-0 surge, and crush the fairy tale. But Caitlin refused to let the script play out. Deep threes, clutch moments, absolute fearlessness. Iowa stunned the world, sending South Carolina home. The championship game that followed didn't end perfectly. Iowa fell one victory short. Yet listen to her reaction afterward.
And I don't think it's going to set in for me for quite some time. I want my legacy to be the impact that I can have on young kids and the people in the state of Iowa. And I hope I brought them a lot of joy this season. I hope this team brought them a lot of joy. I understand we came up one win short, but I think we have a lot to be proud of and a lot to celebrate. And I was just that young girl, so all you have to do is dream. You can be in moments like this.
That's not just a scorer speaking. That's someone fully aware of her impact. By this point, Caitlin Clark wasn't merely a star. She was an economic force. People began calling it Clarkonomics for a reason. A nonpartisan study estimated that in a single year, she generated over $50 million for Iowa's economy. Tickets, hotels, restaurants, local businesses. The influence went far beyond arenas. Entire towns felt it. Ticket prices for her games reached levels that made some NBA playoff seats blush. Fans spent hundreds just to be inside. Signs appeared nationwide. I flew from Boston just to watch Caitlin Clark. Drove 10 hours for Caitlin.
But this is the Caitlin Clark effect. The highest ticket price in women's college basketball happened earlier in the year. Now this has to be the highest sessions average ticket price in the history of the tournament. What a business. What a monster Caitlin Clark really is.
And it wasn't limited to live audiences. Television ratings soared. Social media clips went viral. People who had never distinguished between a 2-3 zone and a zipper cut suddenly knew one thing. That Iowa guard who launches from the logo is must-see television. She shattered records relentlessly, claiming the all-time women's NCAA scoring record, breaking the single-season three-point record, surpassing even Steph Curry's college mark, and overtaking Pistol Pete's major college scoring totals.
Throwing a really good pass to my teammates as I do, making the logo 3 hard, and even myself harder to guard because sure, you can take away my shots and stuff, but I'm going to find a way to get my teammates open, and I take a lot of pride in that.